morning to all. It's a continuation of the previous class of British administration. In the last part we have to discuss, and this is also very important part, though it seems to be some factual information, because in this part we are going to discuss some newspapers, and to curb the freedom of newspaper, what kind of acts were passed by the British. This is the last part. We already opened the topic in last class itself, newspaper and related act. 2018, from this and you should know some newspapers and newspaper related act. What is the purpose of newspaper? Simply, they are not just to clear UPSC exam. For that only you people also as of now forced to study newspaper. There is no other go. Otherwise, during your college day and school days, no one would have touched the newspaper. Even if you are not at all in the UPSC field, you would not touch newspaper. Even when you are feeling difficult to take notes and so on related to newspaper, but the purpose of newspaper is multi-purpose. If you take newspaper yourself, many are thinking that just to disseminate information. Beyond that, so many information newspaper provide it. Even advertisements are there in newspaper. Even sports news are there. Even the tender notice is also there. That is not, you can't consider. So newspaper play a vital role. That's why newspaper are called, the medias are called fourth pillar of the democracy. That is the media. So in this, you should know of that relevancy of newspaper as of now. So relevancy of newspaper is for multi-purpose. Major thing, what the government is doing for the people and what energy.
We
You
can
are
hear
in the
your voice
meeting
and
now.
video, sir.
So the purpose of newspaper today is somewhat different during the British period. As of now, what the government is doing for the people and what people want from the government. Even you could see once in a month, at least in your local newspaper, with the Prime Minister's photo and the respective minister photo and so yojana. Whenever you are supposed to see such a flagship program and such a photos would be there and would start and we spend this much of amount. What government try to say is, we are for the people of doing like this. At the same time, what people want, the road in particular area is damaged. Please, government take measures. You could see after 2 to 3 weeks, because of the reflection of this newspaper or that newspaper, the road is refurbished, repaired. So as of now, that is the purpose of newspaper. But during the British period, they never took measures. Then what was the purpose of newspaper was to actively criticize the British. These are all the points for mains perspective. You should not be a mere spectator, you have to write it. Since I said for modern India, You many said that I would give some points whatever you have written, but I will tell so much of story. Actually, it's not story. Whatever I read it from the book, I am discussing. You should not consider this whatever I have given and you have written, that alone it's information. Whatever the information I am given, you have written in the notebook is less than whatever I told. Okay, so here to criticize the government. 1. To promote the national movement. 2. To gather the public opinion. Yes, to view the ideology of the nationalist leader. If Ahimsa Satyagraha to be popularized and the concept of non-cooperation movement to be popularized among the people, and it should be done through Harijan newspaper or Young India newspaper or Navjawan newspaper. Through that only Gandhiji could propagate. So likewise, newspaper played a vital role. Why not? I used to say, if no newspaper, there's no interaction between leader and mass in those time. Because in those time, no TV channel, no television, no radio, no social media. The only media was the print media. So this is important. Keep it in mind. Media is wide. Among that, so many subgroups are there in this media. If you take media, earliest is print media, 1. Second is voice, audio, that's in the name of radio. And third is video, in the name of television. And fourth and recently is the social media. In that I am discussing this alone because the earliest media in the world always is the print media, that's a newspaper. Nowadays we are using this. No one is ready to study the world we are here. Understood? So one is ahead of another. For example, if it is newspaper, only one way of communication. You can just read it. You cannot immediately command the newspaper editor, and for that you have to send letters. That's a difficult. But if it is radio, you not only you can listen, as well as you can listen their sweet voice. Not only news, you can listen their sweet voice. If it is television, news, their sweet voice as well as their good face also. One step ahead. But all the three has their own negatives. What is negative is in a TV, in a television, NDTV or India Today is there. What you can do it, if a news is going on, if some of the news are wrong, you can't immediately stop. You can't pass them and no, you are wrong. If Arnab Goswami is discussing means you can't immediately stop him. You cannot immediately comment to him. These are all the problems in the first three. But the social media is not like that. You can put instant comment. And why not? Social media has advantage. In the three media, you can provide a news, but you need a support of media. Either you should send. You can't publish a newspaper. Rather than you have to send your letter to newspaper. You need a support of a news channel for propagation. But in the case of social media, you are the news generator and you are the news editor and you are the news publisher. At the same time, you are commenting your own news. So likewise, media is of this much, and I just confine to the print media alone. If you write like this along with one or two newspaper, that is for mains. Otherwise, if you mug it up in a raw manner, that is for prelims. That's very easy. If I will give it some newspapers like this, okay, that's all. This can be done by any kind of people. But what is the purpose of the India, New India and the Commonwealth by any percent? You have to elaborate for 4 to 5 lines. If you are able to convert it, that's for mains. For last 2 years, I have been expecting this for mains. Prelims wise, already it's a question. Because probability of asking this in prelims is more. But for mains wise, I have been expecting this. So, what is media? I said. What are all different kind of media? I said. Right, in that I discussed of print media, that is a newspaper. Print media as of now and print media during the British period I said. So this much of one page of explanation I have given it. Then what are all the important newspaper and published in India? Before that, if you want to publish a newspaper, definitely you need a printing machine. Correct? You need a printing machine. Then you have to trace that origin of printing machine, modern printing machine. Modern printing machine was introduced around 1600, right, in Europe. But before that, what they did, there would be a scribe. Scribe means copier would be there. If an order is there, 10 people would surround and they started to copy, and one copy would become 10 copy. The 10 would become 1000 likewise. But since it's copied by human errors are there. Since it's copied by human, time consuming, these kinds of problems during ancient and medieval period we faced it. But we have to thanks to a German inventor called John Gutenberg. He was the person who actually invented the modern printing press. That is factual information. You write it. The modern printing press was started in 16th century. By a German His name is John Gutenberg. Actually, in world history, this will be helpful. Because of the printing press only, the age of Renaissance. Because of the printing press only, the age of Enlightenment. Rousseau, Voltaire are there. They provided their information. How it reached the people means because of book, it is published and circulated. Many people read it, led to the French Revolution, led to the American Revolution. That's why this John Gutenberg printing press play a vital. Okay. It was invented and widely used in European country. When was it introduced in India? And who were the first to use it? Is exactly this year by heart it in 1557. This is exact year. In 1557, Portuguese brought printing press to India. So who introduced the printing press in India is Portuguese. Brought printing press in India. That too Portuguese mean what place is Goa. In Goa. Okay, for what purpose Portuguese introduced such a printing press in India? Is for promoting Christianity. For promoting Christianity. Right. What purpose means the language would be Portuguese or English. Indian didn't know such a language. That's why to translate into Tamil, to translate into Marathi, to translate into the Bengali language, that printing press was used. So this is important. When printing press was introduced, and who were the first to introduce the printing press was the Portuguese in 1557. It's a Akbar period. But what is the problem is, for next couple of centuries, till 1770s, the news printing press was exclusively used for that purpose. Not even a single newspaper was printed from the printing press. No one had an idea of starting such a thing. So for next 200 years, this happened. No printing through that. No newspapers. Then what was India's first newspaper? And who was the editor of the first newspaper? This is important, right? In 1780, it's exact year. In 1780, India's first newspaper was published. What is India's first newspaper? Is Bengal Gazette. Bengal Gazette or Calcutta General Advertiser. Calcutta General Advertiser by a dismissed company servant. Here company is English East India Company. By a dismissed, underline the word dismissed. It's quite interesting, especially those who are from Bengal, Calcutta area. This seems a very interesting one. Calcutta General Advertiser by dismissed company servant. His name is James Augustus Hickey. Here, Hickey. So what's a newspaper? What's a year? Who was the first? Why did he start? We will explain, right? He was a dismissed company servant. It's very interesting. We already discussed that by 1770s and 1780s, all the company servants were corrupted people. Top to bottom corrupted. Who was the number one corrupted person? Type it. Who was the number one corrupted and who was the number two corrupted? Robert Clay. Number two, Warren Hastings. Yes, exactly. Top to bottom, from Governor General to clerk, bench clerk, all were the corrupted people. One of the corrupted person was this officer, James Augustus Hickey. But what happened is he was caught red-handedly. He was caught it, and charge sheet was filed, and he was dismissed. At last, he was dismissed from the service. Immediately, he got tension. Who dismissed actually at the time was Warren Hastings. You see that. Warren Hastings was very clear, so he dismissed this fellow. Just imagine, Warren Hastings only dismissed him. Immediately, this Augustus Hickey got tension. I am not the only corrupted man. You person, especially from Warren Hastings, to the clerk, all were corrupted people. I am going to expose the corrupt nature of the companies before the people of India and before the court of directors, because court of directors didn't know what was going on. Common man would not know what is going on inside, especially the higher official matters. So only to expose the corrupt practice of the company servant, especially Warren Hastings. His newspaper always targeted Warren Hastings. For that purpose, it's more or like a revenge purpose only this newspaper is used. Even today, some newspaper, news channels also always criticize some group of people, especially the politicals. For that, likewise, the earliest newspaper was started. This is one official. Another one unofficial is there. It's very interesting. To expose the Warren Hastings extramarital affairs. For that purpose also this newspaper. This is not mentioned in your standard textbook. Just listen. Extramarital affairs. Apart from wife, he had a girlfriend. This Warren Hastings. Here is Kolkata. Okay. Here is Kolkata. Here is Alipur. Here Governor General. Here in this Alipur, the girl. That's his girlfriend. Warren Hastings frequently used to visit to the Alipur to meet his girlfriend. And this James Augustus Hickey would carefully see that. And what he did, he wrote an article frequently. It's like a Vikramaditya-like story in the local newspaper, you could see. Right? Likewise, series of articles he published it. Even to know what kind of relationship, what's going on last week between Warren Hastings and the girl. For that itself, many Bengali people were eager to buy, educated Bengalis were eager to buy, and they became the subscribers of this Bengal Gazette. And at last, what happened is James Augustus Hickey was sent back. No, you should not be in India. The newspaper was closed and he was sent back to Britain. This is what the starting of newspaper. But once newspaper was started like this, after that many Indian got awakened and they also started many newspaper, especially to criticize the British and to popularize the national movement. In this, these are all the important newspaper. So it is a by hearting time. In this side is a newspaper, this side is the founder. Open the column and just you leave between two newspaper at least a line, a couple of line to write. If some additional points are there, note it down. Since hundreds of newspapers are there, it's impossible. These are all the most probable newspaper can be asked. I'll note it down. Between two newspaper, just to give a couple of line for further points. I'll give 2 minutes, note it down. And simultaneously try to by heart it. After writing it, just provide a thumbs up sign so that if majority has taken down, I can move further. Yes, almost 12 13 newspaper has been given. These are all probably the most important. I assure you, major question may be asked would come from this newspaper. Okay, just we will discuss. If you see that Miratul Akbar by Rajaram Mohan Roy, what's the significance? Since I asked you to leave some gap, you write it. It's a first Persian newspaper in India. Not only in Bengal, it's a first Persian newspaper. Miratul Akbar. Miratul Akbar. Along with the Miratul Akbar, you write another newspaper that was also published by Rajaram Mohan Roy is Samvad Kamudi. Samvad. SAMVAD. Samvat Kamudi. KAUMUDI. Samvat Kamudi. I think this is the Bengali version, I think. Miratul Akbar is a Persian. Samvat Kamudi is a Bengali version. Since you know Rajaram Mohan Roy is well known for the socio-religious reform movement, these two newspapers were actually used for promoting the socio-religious reforms. Note it down. For promoting the socio-religious reform. So purpose newspaper. Purpose newspaper. If you write for mains, otherwise simply you study newspaper, that's for prelims. Okay. Next, you all people know Voice of India and Rast Guftar by Dadabhai Naoroji. Dadabhai Naoroji is well known for what is the economic nationalism. He was the first to criticize the British economic policy. So these two newspapers were used to promote economic nationalism. Note it down. To promote economic nationalism, to criticize the exposing of drain of wealth theory. Note it down. Expose the drain of wealth theory. And next is Indian Mirror and Tatvabodhini Patrika. It's not just Tatvabodhini Patrika by Devendranath Tagore. Regarding Devendranath Tagore, a separate chapter is there in Socio-Religious Reform Movement organization. We will discuss there. Hindu Patriot, Harish Chandra Mukherjee, leave the gap. Harish Chandra Mukherjee wise, we will discuss a separate subtopic. It's like Indigo Revolt, Pabna movement. In that we will discuss. Right, so leave. Amrit Basar Patrika, in that also, again I have to discuss of this, very important. The Hindu by Subramania Iyer, it's one of the oldest newspaper, as well as at the time when Subramania Iyer was started, the people are the youngsters. At the time, Veera Rahavacharya, note it down, not just Subramania Iyer, even Veera Rahavacharya also started it. At the time, these people were young entrepreneurs of not more than 23 or 24 years. At the time, in 1878, when they opened the Hindu young entrepreneurs. Okay, and next is New India, Harijan, and Indian Opinion. That three are by the Gandhiji. That too, near Indian Opinion, you note it down. It was published in South Africa. Indian opinion, you note it down, published in South Africa because Gandhiji was 22 years in South Africa. Very late only he came to India. Indian opinion by Gandhiji, right, in South Africa. Because Gandhiji was in South Africa for 20 plus years. And Young India Harijan, yes, in India, especially in the case of Harijan, he used it for promotion of the socio-religious, especially untouchability, against untouchability for right, and also to promote his national movement, Ahimsa, Satyagraha, likewise to promote it. Understood? That's the purpose of Young India Harijan. Indian opinion wise, it was published in South Africa. Okay. And next, New India and the Commonwealth by Annie Besant. It's mentioned that, right? So, if it is Annie Besant, you all people know to promote home rule movement. Note it down. To promote home rule movement. Right? And next is Maharatha Kesari, not that much. That's by B.G. Tilak. It's a very important person. Al Hilal, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and leader. Al Hilal is the Urdu newspaper, but it's not the first Urdu newspaper. I never said it. It's a Urdu newspaper. That's all. It's also used for socio-religious reform movement of the Islamic people. Of the Islamic people. And next is the leader. Leader is Madan Mohan Malavya, and last is the Dawn, D-A-W-N. Dawn by Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It's an English newspaper, right? Later, now it's an official newspaper of Pakistan. Even today also it's an official newspaper of Pakistan. Government of India does not have any official newspaper. We do have news publication department called PTI, Press Trust of India. Government of India is not publishing any newspaper. Okay? But Dawn is the official newspaper of Pakistan. Even today, government of in Pakistan issue it. So these are all important newspapers. Okay. Likewise, so many newspapers are that, but these newspapers are not worthy. Okay. Newspapers were started to criticize the British like anything. Whether British were an idol? No. The British were not idle. What the British did it? They started to enact act. And started to curb the newspaper. Next to open the topic, you write it, newspaper related act. Otherwise, act related to newspaper. Act related to newspaper. Yes. What are all the important acts? Yes. First act. The one famous act many would have known of the vernacular. Normally, a student would just confine to vernacular. You would not be given so much of school. You have to go beyond that. One of the important acts is the Censorship of Press Act. Censorship of Press Act 1799 by Governor General Wellesley. Yes. The act itself is a self-explanatory. Censorship is there. Censorship of Press Act. Censorship means even today censorship board in film industry is there. You have such a censorship board in film industry. Before the film is being shown to public, 5 to 6 members would see if any of the scene of the movie is vulgar or adultery or violence in nature, it would be cut. In the same way, before any newspaper is circulated to the public, that censorship of press in the level of district collector or some other higher level, they would get the original copy of the paper and would go through that. Any of the columns or articles were against the British. If they seemed against the British, mean they would ask that Indian editor, please change it because this is anti-British article. Then you come back. Then you have to get approval, censorship board approval. Then only you could publish your printing. Otherwise, you have to rectify, that is modify your newspaper's article again and again till the satisfaction of the censorship board. So since it's a self-explanatory, no need to write it again and again. That's why if you see my point seems to be the skeletal, because that the hit point I have given. If you go through the hit point, through that you have to generate the other things like a story. 1799, right? That is what. Next is second is Licensing Regulation Act. Licensing Regulation Act. Taken? Yes. Year is 1820s. Exacta 1823 it would come. 1820s is enough. Year wise, UPSC would never ask, no need to bother. Wellesley is important. Here is 1820s. Censorship Licensing Regulation Act by John Adams. Governor General name is John Adams. Yes, again the act itself is a self-explanatory. How it's a self-explanatory here is license. Before I am starting newspaper, I should get a license. It's like before you start any business, you have to get license from the government. Likewise, you have to get license from this. That's why this act is called Licensing Regulation Act. It's a second important act. So likewise, these are all two important curbing act. Likewise, so many acts were there, but these two are the noteworthy. Likewise, Indian newspaper were crippled. It's difficult to provide any information. After a decade, another Governor General came to India. He considered, what is the purpose of giving this much of restrictions to the newspaper? Let us give some liberty. What he did, he made an act based on that name itself. The third important act is Freedom of Liberation of Indian Press Act, not Freedom of Indian Press Act, Liberation. Liberation of Indian Press Act, 1830s. Exact year is 1833, but you don't want of such a year. Okay. So Liberation of Indian Press Act, 1830s by Charles Metcalfe. Governor General name is Charles Metcalfe. Through this act, some liberty was given. Some liberty was given to the Indian press. That is the reason Act was called as Liberation of Indian Press Act, and the Governor General was called as Liberator of Indian Press. Note it down. This is potential question. This may be asked. He was famously called Liberator of Indian Press. Act is liberation. Taken? Yes. So 1830s this happened. Then what happened is 1840s, 1850s, 20 years had been gone, and at last 1847 the revolt happened. Lakhs of people started to fight against the British. Yeah, anyhow, the revolt was suppressed. After that, the crown started to take the administration because company rule was ended and the crown started to take the administration. After the crown administration, crown was listing out the reason. What are all the reason for the revolt? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Likewise, they were listing out. In that, they listed out what is one of the reason culprit for the 1857 revolt was this Charles Metcalfe. Why? Because of him only liberty was given. Since liberty of freedom of press was given, many people printed newspaper, criticized the government, freely circulated it, people read it, got tension against the British, started to revolt. Understood? That's why thereafter government was very clear about of providing restriction to the freedom of press. So in this you write it, this was considered under this act, you write it, this was considered as one of the cause of 1857 revolt. Considered as one of the cause of 1857 revolt. So after that restrictions were made. Restrictions were made. In this one important act is Vernacular Press Act. Important act is Vernacular Press Act. For this alone you by heart the year because this is very important. 1878 by Viceroy Lord Lytton. Viceroy Lord Lytton. Actually, this was one of the reactionary policy of Viceroy Lord Lytton. It was a draconian act. Again, the act itself is a self-explanatory. That's a vernacular. Vernacular is what? Is the local newspaper, local language newspaper. What is the local language other than English? Other than English. So, what is the vernacular language? This act was applicable to all the newspaper other than English, including Hindi also. If you publish English newspaper, not at all. Why? If you publish English newspaper, British themselves would read and themselves would know under intensity of the news. But if it's a Marathi or a Rajasthani or a Bhojpuri, mean how would they come to know? One. Second thing is, at that time, the people learned English was very less, microscopic minority. It's very easy to segregate such a people. But Karos or people knew regional language. If such a people started to agitate, it's difficult for the British to suppress them. That's why only to target the regional, local Indian language, this act was brought. Actually, this act was famously called Gagging Act. Write it. Not ragging, Gagging Act. Actually, what is the meaning of gagging? Means like this, crippling your throat. Like this, it not for killing you, not to suffocation, not to kill you. Rather, if crippling your throat means you are not allowed to give freedom of expression. So that's called gagging. Okay, it's an English word. So this is what the vernacular press. Vernacular press was most affected. What is the only chance of escaping from vernacular press act? Means you have to change your newspaper to English version. This is what exactly happened. Now I come back, carefully listen into that vernacular press. The only way to escapism from vernacular press act was, right, your language of the newspaper should be changed. Now I come to here. You take Amrit Basar Patrika by Sisir Kumar Ghosh. It's very interesting. This way we ask a question. Okay. Actually, now you come to Amrit Basar Patrika. Originally a Bengali version. Near Amrit Basar Patrika, right? Originally a Bengali version. And to avoid vernacular press act, overnight it converted from Bengali to English version. Right? That's why overnight this Sisir Kumar Ghosh changed his version from Bengali to English. This is very interesting. This can be asked as a question. So likewise, so many acts were passed to curb the freedom of expression. Even today, some restrictions are there. In essay wise topic, these kinds of questions, these kinds of newspaper, because media support, media trial, social media. If question is asked social media or whatever media, you have to start with media, print media, so on, so. Then you come and confine to what kind of media is given in the question. Understood? This is what the newspaper and related act. With this, we successfully completed one of the lengthiest and most important topic called administration of the British. It's a very short area. Every year, at least one or two questions would be asked. Write the next unit. I'll write the next unit. Yes. What's the next unit? Type it. Yes, two things are there. One next unit is what I said. You are right. Indian reaction to the British. One is a positive reaction, another is a negative reaction. But one topic we missed it, Anglo-Maratha War, and that to be discussed. Okay. Before that, another part I have to discuss in the administration itself. I have to open that also. Then we would move on to the Anglo-Maratha War. Then we will come back to the next unit. It's a better, so that we would not miss any kind of topic. Now, what I am going to discuss is we are going to discuss is important act we are going to discuss. Earlier we discussed two act. What are the act we discussed is, one is the Regulating Act 1773, another is the Pitt's India Act. We discussed it. What are the next two act or next three act is there? Carefully see that first page. Go to the first page of the part 1 of modern India. I'll go back. In that, if you see 1813 Act is there, 1833 is there, and 1853 is there. All the act are collectively called the Charter Act. So, in that administrative part itself, I will complete that also. Open the topic Charter Acts. Then I will discuss of Anglo-Maratha War left out portion. Then I come to this topic, socio-religious revolt. That will be good. So open the topic Charter Act, ACTS, plural form, because all the three are Charter Act. 1813, 1833, 1853 are called Charter Act. So altogether 4 Charter Acts are there. Here 3 we are going to explain. Okay. So what is the meaning of charter? Charter means order. Okay, who order? Who order? Even we discussed the charter. Through a charter only, English East India Company was started in 1600. Who gave the charter is Queen Elizabeth I. What is the charter is? To have the trade with the eastern parts, that to have the monopoly of trade. That we discussed. So charter means order. Who would order? Government. Harish, if you see Bahubali movie, Ramya Krishnan would say, whatever I say, that is called Vachan. Vachan later became Sasan. Sasan means constitution. I order you. That's called prerogatives. Actually, in polity, it is called writ petition. Prerogative writs. Through the court order, you have to perform this. Habeas corpus, mandamus, so and so, so and so. These are all the court orders. If you see prerogative writs. So likewise, these are all the charters. Charter means order given by the British Crown. Okay, British Crown, whether British Crown was enacting act, no. On behalf of the British Crown, who was enacting act is the British Parliament. But now, even today, what is the work of British Crown? Buckingham Palace and respecting the guest, pompous life, and occasionally would come, especially the ceremonies. That's why such functions are called ceremonial functions, even like a President of India. That's why on behalf of the Crown, who would make all the law? The Parliament. So all the 3 laws were made by Parliament on behalf of the Crown. It's a Crown's order. That's why it's called charter. You keep it in mind. Earlier is regulating. Regulated, who regulate Crown? Through Parliament. So regulating is light, charter is more. I regulate you is different. I order you, that is different. Intensity is much. Understood? So if you study separately, that is for prelims. If you study all the acts simultaneously under a topic called Charter Acts, that's for mains. So with this much of explanation, we are entering into Charter Acts. First, Charter Act 1813. Write it. So I have to discuss 1813, I have to discuss 1833, I have to discuss 1853. First is Charter Act 1813. First point. Under Charter Act, the company lost monopoly of trade. The company lost monopoly of trade with India with India, except tea. It's like a tea, coffee, that commodity, except tea, the plantation crop. Now you revise. Company lost monopoly of trade. Means when did company get monopoly of trade? Type it. When it get monopoly of trade? 1700 600 700 1600, yes. When the company got permission to trade, at the time itself it got monopoly of trade. Right. Since 1600 and till 1813, keep it in mind, from Britain, only one company was allowed to have trade with the entire India. Not only entire India, entire East I discussed. The first class itself. After 200 years, what happened is the company lost monopoly of trade except tea commodity. Okay, so what happened and why tea alone was kept is, listen, after 1813, from Britain, keep it in mind, from Britain, any company could come to India, ABCD company, XYZ company, any company could come to India and could purchase and sell any kind of commodity except tea. Why tea alone was under the control of monopoly is Indian tea is lucrative trade in the world, even today also. Indian tea has so many lovers in worldwide, except Indian. Because what we are tasting in the name of tea is whether original tea, no, we are enjoying dust. If you see the tea, right, it's not even, we use the word dust, no. Micro test, nano test alone we are using. These are all the lowest class, especially green tea, even sometimes white tea. Even if you buy some costly tea, the tea leaves alone would come for this much. But what we are, chakra gold or three roses tea, if you see that, it will be nanoparticle. The taste and quality is less because our purchase power is very less. Chakra gold, 50 gram, 50 rupees. No, 50 gram high brand chakra gold would go for 200 rupees. Even in so many shops, they are selling. We are not buying it. But buyers are there outside India, so export quality and send abroad. Okay, that's why Indian tea has great market. That company don't want to lose it. That's why monopoly was given only to trade. Remaining entire monopoly was lost. This bunch of stories you should know. Next point. But the company retained monopoly of trade with China. Company retained monopoly of trade with China. Because even with China also, the English is a company, the same thing. It had monopoly. Though it's not part and parcel for India history, it will be helpful while studying of world history. Chinese. Third point. Rupees 1 lakh was allotted. Even we discussed in the previous class itself. Note it down. 1 lakh was allotted for promotion of education system in India. Education system in India. Even last class we discussed, okay? And fourth important point. First time, 2019 preliminary question. First time, the British territory in India was defined. British territory in India was defined. And the sovereign control over British Indian territory. Yes, 2019 question, preliminary question. Not only the defining of the British Indian territory, but also the control of the sovereignty. Sovereignty means crown. Crown sovereignty, British crown sovereignty over the company. How would you say, sir? Yes, this is the point. You write it. How would you say sovereignty of the crown was established? Many are thinking that even after writing the exam, the candidate aspirant consider that statement is wrong. Sir, it is given that Charter Act 1833 is the crown sovereignty towards Indian territory, but that happened after 1857 revolt. That is the change of administration. But here, crown's territory, right? The crown sovereignty over the British Indian territory was enunciated first time in 1813. How would you say? Write this point. The company was allowed to rule India. How would you say? This is the answer. The company was allowed to rule India first for next 20 years. For next 20 years, on behalf of crown, on behalf of crown and his or her successor. His or her successor. Actually, if the crown is king, his successor. If the crown is queen, her successor. So it means that not only on behalf of the crown, even for their successors also, company, as of now, I don't want to take your administration. But what you have to do on behalf of my family, you rule it on behalf of me. At any point of time, after how many years? 20 years, I would take the administration of India. Likewise, for the first time, the sovereign control over the British East India Company's territory in India was defined. Exact 2018 question. Now listen, this last point is important because it is up to the crown to enunciate after 20 years. Whether after 20 years, whether the crown had any ambition to take over the administration, we have to look after 20 years. That's why after 1813, because of the 20 years waiting period, exactly at the end of 20 years, 1833, another Charter Act was made. Open the topic, Charter Act 1833. So why 20 years? Once in a gap means because the act itself says for 20 years. And here also the act would say for 20 years. That's why next act is 1853. But this act would not say 20 years. Okay, my intention is to give a link rather than giving so much of information, factual information that you could easily study. Intention is to have a link. If you have the link, whatever the information you would study. So next is the Charter Act 1833. First point. The company lost monopoly of tea also in India. They kept the tea alone. They also lost the tea. It means a complete lasting of monopoly. It's a first point. Okay, this is very interesting. You see that company gave to India in 1600 exclusively for trade. But what happened is monopoly, it lost the end complete monopoly in 1833. 220 plus 30 plus years, a trading body monopoly, complete loss of the monopoly. Not only that, second point in the 1883, company was asked to wind up its commercial activity. Was asked to wind up its commercial activity. This table would be suitable for this 200 plus year. It was a trading body. But 1833 onwards, it's not a trading body. It was a political body. Company was asked, company, already you exploited a plenty. Hereafter, please you don't do commercial activity. You are an administrator, you are the government. Please you do the political. But what is the interesting thing? It lost political also in 1847. That is after 1847. Because after that, the crown took the administration. So first trade point, trading company. Next it did both trading. After that, both trading as well as political. 1833 to 1857, it was a political. After 1847, no company at all because of crown. That's all. With this, the entire history of English East India Company is over. Understood? Next point. The company also lost monopoly of trade with China. Also lost monopoly of trade with China. That's a complete monopoly. There is no one or two commodities were given monopoly to the company. It lost complete monopoly of trade with China. Second point. Third point, this also we already discussed. The Governor General of Bengal was renamed as Governor General of India. I think I have not mentioned. It's the first time I'm mentioning. Governor General of Bengal was renamed as Governor General of India. Don't write Governor General again and again. Put GG. Who was the first Governor General of India, thus appointed by 1833 Act? Within bracket, the first was William Bentinck. William Bentinck. Okay, now my question is, who was the first Governor General of Bengal? Type it. Type crowd. Who was the first Governor General of Bengal? Varanasi, exactly. So, a 1773 Act, Governor to Governor General of Bengal. But 1833 Act, Governor General of Bengal to Governor General of India. So, India's first Governor General of India was William Bentinck. Carefully listen this word. Otherwise, if the question is plain, who is the first Governor General? What is the answer? Answer, do type it. You should not ask question to UPSC. This is what some student, if UPSC asked question, they would ask question. It's the first Governor General. If the question is like this, Varanasi, exactly. If the question is asked as such, without head, without tail, who is the first Governor General? Varanasi. Okay. So if Albuquerque. Yes, even first Governor General. Yes, that's also right. Because the question is never asked for, right, whether it is British or Portuguese. Very good, very good. Not Albuquerque, Almeida. That's also good. So this is what, based on the question, you should be very careful. Very careful. Okay. And the next point, a fourth member was included. A fourth member was included. I think I already discussed it. I yourself write it. A fourth member was included into Governor General's Executive Council. Okay. You continue the point. Fourth member was included. What was the post of the fourth member, and who was the first fourth member? Who was the first fourth member? Fourth member should be law member, and who was the first law member? Macaulay. Correct. So now I have to discuss. You see that 1 plus 4 initially, Governor General and Executive Council. Later what happened is 1 plus 3. Later what happened is now onwards 1 plus 4. The fourth member should be the law member. Got it? Yes. This is what. And next point. Next point is, what is the last point of 1813 is, you see that 20 years provision. Company was allowed to rule India for next 20 years. The same point you reproduce here also. Write it. Yes, the same point you reproduce here also. The company was allowed to rule for next 20 years on behalf of the crown and his or her successor. Again, write it in this act also. Yes, that's all. These are all the important points of 1833 Act. Okay, even if you see 1833 Act, if you see here, again 20-year provision was given. It means that the crown didn't have intention to take over administration of the British company. Please, you again rule for another 20 years. At the end of the 20 years, I will look after. That's why Again, you have to wait for another 20 years. At the end, 1853, another Charter Act was passed. Write it, Charter Act 1853. Eighteen fifty. 1850. Yes, Palama. First point. Yes. Even first point I already discussed. The COD, last power. The COD, last power to appoint company servants, that's civil servants, to appoint civil servants, and thereafter exams would be conducted. Thereafter exams would be conducted. This is the first point. Where exam was held, what was the maximum age? That is the next. That were not part and parcel of this act. So company last appointment of the civil servant, and thereafter the what one is the examination paper. It is the first point. Second point is very crucial, right? This is very important. So keep it in mind. Second, third is very important. A separate governor for Bengal. A separate governor for Bengal. Yes. Then what about the structure, sir? Is listen here Calcutta, here Madras, here Bombay. Initially, what happened is governor of Calcutta, governor of Madras, governor of Bombay. Keep it in mind. Okay, this is what earliest setup. 3 independent governor. To bring administrative unity, listen, this governor of Bengal was named as Governor General. Carefully listen, I am discussing from 1773. 3 independent. That's why we call Governor General of Bengal. Why Governor of Bengal become Governor General? Na? Earliest they got this much of territory. So they decided to start entire thing from Bengal. Otherwise simple. Had they kept territory, na, Governor of Madras would have been called as Governor General of Madras. Next, Governor General of Madras would have been called as Viceroy of India. Then what would happen? British India's capital was not Calcutta. It would have been Madras. Simple. That's why if you see 1773, Governor of Bengal was renamed as Governor General. It means that, listen, he was not only the governor of this Bengal, he was also Governor General of entire British area. Understood? He did dual function. Since which year? 1773. 1773. Simple, na? Right, keep it in mind. As of now, you keep it. Delhi. Right. And in the Delhi only Prime Minister of India is there. In the Delhi only Delhi Chief Minister is there. You just imagine. Prime Minister of India is also doing Chief Minister of Delhi. Understood? Likewise, here Governor General of India was also doing Governor of Bengal region. So since 1773, both the jobs were done by one person. But 1853, what happened is, no, please appoint a separate Governor General. It's like, please appoint a separate CM for Delhi. Because PM would look after entire India. It's difficult for him to look after Delhi alone by giving the Chief Minister post. Likewise, Chief Minister of Delhi, Prime Minister of India was segregated. Very similar to that, you think it. Governor of Bengal and Governor General of India was segregated as per 1853 Act. And who was the first Governor General without Governor of Bengal is, you write it, who was the first Governor General was Dalhousie. This is expected question in 2021. So who was the first Governor General without having additional burden of Governor of Bengal? Was none other than this. Okay? It's the second point. Third point. So in this session only I am discussing dead slow actually. If you come to the class, it will be like this because you all knew very well, you will easily listen it, but here it's a communication, some distance is there, that's why I'm discussing dead slow. Okay, if you already knew it, please wait it. Third point, for the purpose of law making alone, for the purpose of law making alone, Governor General's Executive Council was expanded. Governor General's Executive Council was expanded by including 3 to 4 members. Minimum 3, maximum 4. 3 to 4 members. Yes. We already discussed what were the dual purpose of Governor General and his Executive Council. Type it. What is the dual function of Governor General and Executive Council? Nizamat right means wrong. I have already given in the early act. Diwani right is also wrong. What is the dual purpose of Governor General and his Executive Council? What? No. Judiciary administration is wrong. Legislative and executive. I'll go back to 1773 Act. In the 1773 Act itself, I have mentioned that Governor General Warren Hastings, to help him form member, what is the dual function? In that itself, I have given law making as well as law implementation. So actually, whatever I am discussing is nothing, not even a single word is outside the topic. Not even a single word is useless. It will be either useful for mains or prelims. Because we don't have time. Why should we waste energy of unnecessarily just listening of unnecessary topic? Understood? It seems to be that I am giving few points or 4 to 5 points in this. But I am discussing a lot of information, everything related to the topic. So, nook and corner, you should be very careful. So, listen, all the other 5. All the 5 made law. All the 5 implemented law. This is what the concept. 1773 itself I have given. But 1853 Act, if you come to 1853 Act, listen, 3 to 4 member. Exclusively for what purpose? Law making, not for law implementation. Exclusively for law making. You just consider all the 4 members were included, mean 9 member. This 9 members duty was law making. Once the law is made, this 4 member would come out and the same 5 member here. The same 5 member later would implement the law. So what is the function of 3 to 4 member? Exclusively for law making along with the 5 member. Once the law is made, they would come and remaining is the 5 member. The same 5 members, they would implement the law. Note it down. Taken? If you see that this system, carefully see this system, it's the beginning of parliamentary institution in India. So thus in India, a parliamentary form of system was started as per 1853 Act. That's the beginning of parliamentary institution or form in India. So as per 1853 Act. These are all some important points. That's all. This is what 1853. If you see 1853, one point is missing, which could be seen in previous two act, but one point is missing. What is the one point is missing here is 20-year provision. Am I right? So next, after writing this, you write it within bracket. You write what is missing is 20 years provision. This is not point. This is a inference. This is a pure inference. It means that, right, after 1853, listen, after 1853, the crown can take the administration, British administration at any time, not necessarily to wait for another 10 years or 20 years. So, in this act, there is no provision for another 20 years. That's why you see that 1854, 55, 56, 57, right, revolt happened. 1858, end of company's rule, over. 1858 end of company year, there is no separate year or maintenance of the company. Otherwise, you consider like this. In 1853 Act also mentioned 20 years provision. Company cannot end its rule till 1873. Fortunately, Crown didn't put another 20-year provision in 1853 Act. That's why company was ended in 1858. Understood? Even few students would have interpreted like this. Sir, 1853, the crown didn't want 20 years mean the crown himself or herself expected that the revolt would happen. That's why they were waiting for an opportunity to snatch the territory of the British company from India and wanted to take under their control. This is interpretation. Okay, in UPSC level, more like a storytelling, more like interpretation, rather than mugging up and vomiting the factual information. These are all the three charter acts. With this, charter act is over. Yes. Next is, we already missed some topics. You go back to war and battles, British expansion in India. Yes. Shall we start? Now again going back here. First, if you see Carnatic War, 1740s, simultaneously British fought it in Plassey, Buxar. Okay? After Carnatic War, Mysore War. 1799, Tipu was killed. Major portion of the Carnatic war, Mysore was taken, and again remaining portions were restored to the Vodaya dynasty. So this is over. This is over. And then they entered into this area, Peshwa's area, that is Maratha area. That's why open the topic Anglo-Maratha War. Actually, third time we are discussing about Marathas. Now I will give refresh your mind. Shivaji, after that Sambhaji. Sambhaji was killed in Battle of Sangameshwar. Shahu was imprisoned. So Rajaram, after Rajaram, Tarabai, Aurangzeb died. Bahadur Shah I came. He released Shahu. When Shahu came, Tarabai versus Shahu fight. Shahu became Chhatrapati because of Balaji Vishwanath. He was appointed as Peshwa. After Balaji Vishwanath, Peshwaship became hereditary. So Balaji Vishwanath, his son Bajirao, next his son Balaji Bajirao. During the Balaji Bajirao period, third battle of Panipat, in the third battle of Panipat, defeat for the Marathas. After that, Marathas started to decline. That opportunity was used by the British that led to the Anglo-Maratha War. Two-thirds of Maratha already over. Here, last part, only the war part alone, I am going to discuss. That's the reason I am saying repeatedly, history is pure continuity. If you attend once all the classes, after that, no, there is no additional portion. But it's a junk subject for UPSC. Keep it in mind. In the first class itself, I said, for GS alone, out of 200 classes, mean history alone would go for 40 plus classes, at least 42 classes. If another 30 classes, optional history is over. That's why never miss history related. If you missed, even if you don't like, number one enemy is history, there is no other go. You have to be friends. Okay, so in this, the three Maratha wars we are going to discuss. A brief idea, whatever the information, keep it in mind, whatever the information regarding Maratha war, just confine to that. In the books, they have given so many battles, both in NCERT as well as Spectrum, so many treaties regarding Maratha war alone. Don't study all, otherwise you are entering into the wrong side in the case of Anglo-Maratha war. Okay, with this caution, I am entering into the topic. First you write it, First Anglo-Maratha war. First Anglo-Maratha war, 1775. 1775 to 1782. If it is a war, I have already given template. What is the first one? Cause. First is the cause. Yes. What is the first cause? Yes. Write it. After third battle of Panipat, decline of Marathas. Decline means not that much, somewhat. Decline of Marathas. First. Second point of cause is problem between Peshwa and his uncle. In Pune, because Peshwa headquarters was at Pune. In Pune, such a problem. Okay, who was Peshwa? Who was uncle? What was the problem? Under Peshwa, you put downward arrow near Peshwa, you write it Madhava Narayan Rao. Peshwa name is Madhav Narayan Rao. Uncle name Raghunath Rao. This much of information are enough, okay? Uncle name Raghunath Rao. Okay, then what is the problem between both is, listen, Raghunath Rao, under Raghunath Rao you write, wanted to become Peshwa. Already Madhav Narayan Rao was there. His uncle Raghunath Rao wanted to become Peshwa. So thus there was a problem between Madhav Narayan Rao and Raghunath Rao. What would happen? Listen, when this information was known to Madhav Narayan Rao, what he did it is, Raghunath Rao was expelled. No, uncle, this is not good. You are opposing my position. So you are expelled. So listen, here is Bombay. And here is Pune. Okay, here is the Pune. What happened is Raghunath Rao was expelled. And here is the Surat. Okay, what this Raghunath Rao did, he straight away went to Surat. In the Surat, he straight away entered into British camp and negotiation. What is the negotiation is British means company. British, please help me. You send force to fight against Madhav Narayan Rao. Expel him and give Peshwa post to me. I am ready to give whatever you want. In that way, there was a treaty between Raghunath Rao and the British. At which place it happened? Surat. That's why the treaty is called, you write it. Later, Raghunath Rao signed the Treaty of Surat. Signed the Treaty of Surat. What is the year of the Treaty of Surat? 1775. This is very interesting. Normally, a war would come to an end by signing a treaty. But here, what happened is, right, after signing the Treaty of Surat only, war happened. Because that Surat treaty between Raghunath Rao and the British to fight against Peshwa here. To fight against Peshwa, okay? So this is what the reason for the first war. Cause is over. Now what the British should do? British should send the force to fight against Peshwa. Next template subtopic is course of action. Next is course of action. First point. In some battles, British were defeated. Actually, it was a setback. So many battles were there. We don't want of listing all the battles in UPSC, both in prelims, even in optional also. They are not at all asking. So some battles, Marathas defeated the British. Now it's a setback. It's a great setback to the British. Why I'm saying is the British misjudged the Marathas. What British did it after third battle of Panipat, Marathas declined. Yes, no doubt, Marathas declined, but not to the ground, not to the Padala level. This is what the British realized it. So in some of the battle, British got defeated. Listen, when these things were going on, 1775 to 1782, another problem to the British was in 1780, Second Anglo-Mysore War was started. So next course of action, right? In between, another problem for British. What is another problem is 1780 Second Anglo-Mysore War. Second Anglo-Mysore War. So with Marathas also they were fighting, and with Mysore also they were fighting. Mean that's not good. At that time you have to fight with only one person. You should not fight with many person. At that time you have to do. This is a good fighter, right? So already they have facing defeat. Again Mysore was started. That's why they're thinking, no, I should not do like this. So I should not get inimical relation both with Maratha as well as Mysore, because these two people may join together against British. That is wrong. So what they did, they wanted to end the war with the Marathas. That's the reason in 1782, right, they signed a peace agreement. So to end the war with the Marathas, but they decided to continue the war with Mysore because Mysore war was continued till 1784. Right here, 1782, they signed a treaty called Salbai. Salbai is the place. Salbai is the place. In that, they signed a treaty. Understood? That's called Treaty of Salbai. What is the concept of Treaty of Salbai? Is only one point I would like to give on the Treaty of Salbai is 20 years peace agreement with Marathas. 20 years peace agreement with Marathas. So with this 1775 to 1782, Raghunath Rao, Raghunath Rao, we would not help you. We are ready to go with the Maratha Peshwa. We would not support you. In that they removed. You see that. Earlier they included Raghunath Rao against Peshwa, but now they removed Raghunath Rao and joined with the Peshwa and signed this treaty. So with this, first war is over. Second, third war is there. 5 minutes break, then we will discuss. Here this treaty is important because it give 20 years time for British. At the same time, it is considered as a negative to the Marathas because during the first war, Maratha had upper hand. At the moment itself, they should have completely destroyed the British power. But the British cleverly entered into treaty that too they maintained forced to maintain good relationship with the British with the Marathas for next 20 years. So listen, 1782, right? For next 20 years, no war means up to 1802. 1782 to 1802. Okay, whatever happened in this up to this year causes for the next war, second Maratha war. So open the topic, second Maratha war. So 20 years there should be no war. War should be started only after 1802. It means that right when the second Maratha war is 1803 to 1805. 1803 to 1805. First, cause or causes. What are the causes of the war? Yes. So you have to look into these 2 years, 1782 to 1802. You have to think various way. One side Marathas further decline, other side British started to rise. So first cause is in the 20 years this year. In the 20 years, further decline of Marathas. Further decline of Maratha. How further decline of Maratha? So you have to keep it. One side is further decline of Marathas, other side is rise of British. So I am giving point of further decline of Maratha. How? One is weak Peshwa. One is weak Peshwa. That too by 1803, who was the Peshwa? Bajirao. Bajirao II. Actually, he was so weak when compared to Madhavan Narayan Rao, when compared to Balaji. Bajirao was so weak. So one is weak Peshwa. Second is mutual jealousness among Maratha Sardars. Among Maratha Sardar. How many Maratha Sardar? 4. Who were they? I have already given. Just listen. Holkar, Sindhya, Gaikwad, another is Bonsley. All had the 4 Maratha Sardars and more or less were the 4 independent persons. Okay. Once upon a time, all the 4 were responsible for expansion of the Marathas because of unified. But now what happened is there was no unity among the Maratha Sardar. That's why I used the word no. That's a mutual jealousness among the Maratha Sardars. So these kinds were going on. Okay. So Maratha. Now you come to British side. I said next point, right? British started to rise. So one side Maratha started to decline, other side is British started to rise. British started to rise. How British started to rise is very important. With the arrival of 2 governor generals, write it. With the arrival of 2 governor general. One is Cornwallis, another is Wellesley. Varanasi period not good, but during this period, Cornwallis period as well as Wellesley period, what happened is good relationship, and the British improved their financial condition, everything. It's a second point. Third, or under the British, next point you write it. For Mysore affairs was over. Actually, Mysore was the biggest issue. But what happened in 1799? 1799, Tipu was killed. With this, Mysore affair was ended. That's why now British was very clear. British side was good, but Maratha side was ugly. Now what they consider, yes, it's the right time to interfere. That led to the war. This is the method of thinking. If I said between two years, what happened? You have to think holistically and you have to answer accordingly. Understood? You have to answer accordingly. So these are all the causes. Okay, once causes are over, next course of action, write it. So causes are over, next course of action. What is the foremost cause, sir? Is listen, as I said, there is a problem. Problem between, right, one side is Peshwa, other side is the Maratha Sardar. Here, the immediate cause, I forget it. What is the cause? One of the cause of the war is problem between Peshwa and Holkar. Write it. Before course of action, you note this as a last point under Marathas, otherwise common cause. What is the immediate cause is problem between Peshwa. Who was the Peshwa? Bajirao to who? One of the Maratha Sardar was Holkar. Problem between these two people. Understood? Yes. Listen. Holkar, the capital Indore. Peshwa, capital Pune. What happened is because of the Holkar fear. It's very interesting. You see that. Once upon a time, Holkar, Scindia, all feared Peshwa. But now what happened is Peshwa started to fear these people. Right? What happened here is because of Holkar fear, right? Peshwa, what Peshwa did, Peshwa joined with the British. Now, under course of action, you write it. Due to Holkar fear, Peshwa joined with the British and asked their protection. And a treaty was signed. Asked their protection and a treaty was signed. Yes, what is a treaty is Treaty of Basaine. Basaine is a place. 1802. Exact date என்னன்னா December 31. This is very interesting. Last day of the 1802. That's why second war started in 1803. The next day onwards. So Treaty of Basaine, the year, the time is December 31, 1802. Exact on the date only it was signed. Yes, listen. What is the significance of this Treaty of Basaine? Very, very important. What's the thing? It's a subsidiary alliance treaty. It's a subsidiary alliance treaty. Yes. Which two people signed the subsidiary alliance treaty? One is the Peshwa. Who was the Peshwa is Bajirao II. Who is another person? Here is the British. Between the two, the treaty was signed. Subsidiary alliance treaty was signed. Right. So what are all the points of subsidiary alliance? You all knew very well. Points of subsidiary alliance. It's a very important. Yes. What is the first point of the subsidiary alliance is the British force to help the Indian ruler. Don't write. I already given. Sufficiently we discussed. British to help the Indian ruler by giving force. It means that here who was the Indian ruler? Peshwa. It means that to support the Peshwa, British troops. So first point under the Basaine Treaty, it's a subsidiary alliance treaty. As per the subsidiary alliance treaty, right, British force to defend Peshwa. Okay. Second is to maintain the army, the Peshwa should give salary or land. Type it. What should be given? The Indian ruler should give salary or land. Yes, exactly. Land. Land should be given. It means that, right, next point you write, Peshwa gave huge land to the British. Yes, territory. Territory or land, exactly. So Peshwa gave a huge land. It's a second. Third important thing is no relationship with any Indian ruler. It means that hereafter the relationship, Peshwa should not have relationship with Mysore, should not have relationship with Hyderabad. In the map itself you could see. So like Peshwa was completely controlled by whom? Is the British. That's the third. And the fourth point, under the Treaty of Basaine and the subsidiary alliances, a British resident in Peshwa court. Yeah, any kind of is correct. Ritik Sanjay mentioned revenue yielding land, exactly right. Saubarnika also mentioned that either territory or land or revenue land, more or less one and the same. Good. So last point is British resident. What was the headquarters of Peshwa was Pune. Hereafter, if you go to Pune court, not only Ashtapradhan, not only the other officer, even a British officer would be there. So likewise, Peshwa forced to enter into treaty. Now you see that it is the duty of the British to protect Peshwa against whom is the Holkar. So with this now war was started. One side Peshwa, listen, one side Peshwa, on behalf of the Peshwa British force. Other side is Holkar. Otherwise commonly I used to say Sardar. Okay, listen, this is course of action. It means that what is the second Maratha war is one side British force on behalf of Peshwa, other side Sardar. So you write it. British force versus Sardar. One of the Sardar was Holkar was defeated. So British force defeated Holkar and signed a separate treaty. Don't study a separate treaty. It is none of the business. No need. Next, what happened? When this information was known, another Sardar also got tension. Right? Who was another Sardar? Is the Bonsley. Bonsley had got the tension. So with the Bonsley, he was also defeated. A separate treaty. Likewise, keep it in mind. What is the second Maratha war? Here is one side British on behalf of Peshwa, other side is the whole Sardars. Likewise, it happens. Okay, and at last, war was come to an end in 1805. Even a treaty was signed, but we don't want the treaty. This is what second Maratha war. What is the lesson at the end of second Maratha war is, this is important. What's the significance is, if you consider this much is Maratha territory, this is significant. Already Peshwa gave land in the name of subsidiaries, so British got the land. Next, Holkar was defeated. Holkar also gave land. Next, Bonsley was also defeated. Bonsley also got land to the British. So at the end of the second war only, British entered into the Maratha territory like a cancer cell. Write it. The British entered into Maratha territory and got land. Area was not completely annexed. With this, second Maratha war was over. Okay, next, third Maratha war. Third Maratha war, 1817, 1818. You see that just 1 year. Why 1 year means that the Marathas were so much of weak, so that it's very easy to conquer them. First, why? Or what led to the cause? First point is Marathas realized their mistake. Marathas realized their mistake. What kind of mistake Maratha realized means, we were separated. We were separated by the British in the name of divide and rule. That's why it's a mistake. Because one side Peshwa, other side Holkar, all should have joined together and should have given unified fight against the British. But in second war, they committed mistake. So that's why what happened. So they realized their mistake and all the Marathas tried to join together. All the Marathas tried to join together. It's a first point. Second point. The excess activities of British resident at Pune court. Over interference, that as per subsidiary, a British resident should be there, but he was interfering that much. That's why Peshwa himself disliked that British resident. No, he should be expelled. I realized I committed a mistake. What is a mistake? By means of Treaty of Surat, I signed a wrong agreement. It's wrong because of excess activities of British resident. It's a second. And the third cause is why British wanted is, right, British wanted to suppress these people, Pindari. Suppress these kinds of people called Pindaris. They consider like a thug. Okay, even don't write like a thug, don't confuse with this like this. So who were Pindaris? Why British wanted to suppress it mean actually Pindaris were the seasonal soldiers actually. They are not full-fledged. They are like a seasonal soldiers. This itself is important. Okay, seasonal soldiers, they worked under Marathas, especially during Shivaji period and during the Balaji Vishwanath period, early ableist Peshwa period. They worked under them. They were the seasonal soldiers. Yes, but what happened is now British started to take major part. Now British force replaced the Maratha force because of signing up subsidy alliance. What happened? These people lost job. So you write it. Due to British army, they lost job. They revolted. The Pindaris also started to revolt. So British wanted to suppress them. That's why they took this as an opportunity that led to the third war. So who are Pindaris? What led to the revolt? And the British wanted to suppress them. These are all the causes of the third Maratha war. Pindari issues. Okay. Next, course of action. Move on to course of action? Yes. First point is the combined Maratha force was defeated. Actually, first what they did it, combined force was avoided, separated, and then was defeated. Combined Maratha force was defeated at various places. So many places. Battle of Kidiki, it would come like this. But you don't want to by heart all that battles. So combined Maratha force was separated and was defeated in separate battle. It's the first point. Second, Peshwa was also, who was the Peshwa was Bajirao II. The same person was Peshwa. Peshwa was also defeated and British ended Peshwa post. Ended mean abolished Peshwa post. So hereafter no Peshwa. So British ended Peshwa post. It means that who was the last Peshwa of the Maratha was Bajirao II. The last Peshwa was Bajirao II. What they did, note it down. So last Peshwa Bajirao II, and Bajirao II was given pension. Bajirao II was given pension and he was forced to live in Kanpur. Actually, near Kanpur there is a small village. In that he was forced to live. So he was forced to live. British sent him. Bajirao II, hereafter you should not come to Maratha area. So you have to live near Kanpur. This will be helpful. This will be helpful to study later part. So he was given pension, okay, and he forced to live in Kanpur. And next point, British annexed the entire Maratha region. British annexed the entire Maratha region and created Bombay province. and created Bombay province. Actually, don't confuse with Bombay, Maharashtra. Maharashtra is very small. Bombay province was very big. Bombay province include Maharashtra, part of Madhya Pradesh, part of Gujarat and Uttar Karnataka. That much of big part that constitutes this Bombay province. That much of big. Understood? Yes. Now listen, entire territory was taken and what happened is, right, Bajirao to last Peshwa was given pension, but what is the problem is, the pension was not extended. The pension was not extended to his adopted son. Who was the adopted son is Nana Sahib. Was not extended to his adopted son Nana Sahib. That's why he participated in 1857 revolt. Participated in 1857 revolt. Okay. So with this, 3 Anglo-Maratha wars were over. We successfully completed a major portion in annexation. But annexation is not over. In some more part is there. I have to discuss that also. Because British ruled Pakistan, India part, Bangladesh part, even they ruled Myanmar also. This is called Akhand Bharat. Have you come across? Nowadays we used to call Akhand Bharat. Akhand Bharat means this, including Sri Lanka also. Sri Lanka was, though not annexed by British major part, during the Chola period, it was part and parcel. This is called Akhand Bharat. Because British ruled these territories from Pakistan up to Myanmar. Yes, in this carefully listen. If you want, you also simultaneously try to. Here we discussed the entire part. Plasi, Baksar we discussed. Carnatic part we discussed. Mysore we discussed. Maratha part now only we discussed. Then when Awadh was annexed we discussed. When Delhi area from the Mughal we discussed it. Okay. These are all the area which were conquered. What are all the area not conquered also we discussed it. Hyderabad was never conquered because it was princely state. Here Mysore part was not because this was also. Here Travancore. British never touched Rajputana. Actually Rajputana up to here, only this part, Rajputana, this part. Right, likewise small princely state, British never touched it. Kashmir never touched it. And here in between gap also small princely state, they never touched it. Right? Then what else we have to discuss is, sir, when did they conquer Punjab? Punjab is here. Both India side as well as Pakistan side. Punjab we have to study. And we have to study the Sindh province. These two are very, very important because very big. We have to discuss annexation of Sindh. We have to discuss annexation of Punjab. And we have to discuss when did they annex the Myanmar. Though Myanmar portion is not at all in the India history, but a brief 5 minutes I will give it because this part, annexation part, war, battle part would go for 100 page, 80 page inspector book. If it taught, I would study all the 80 page means it's not at all a wise to study, advice to study this. Right, so almost we completed. Here the remaining part what we have to discuss is annexation of Sindh, Punjab and Myanmar. Okay, so open the topic annexation of Sindh. Just 1 or 2 minutes. These parts are Sindh region. First point, the Sindh was ruled by Amirs. Amirs. Actually, it's like a brother, 1 or 2 area. Otherwise, they would also call Talkotra. Talkotra Amirs or Amirs, simply you write it. Okay, so that area was ruled by the Amirs. They had a good relationship with the British. had a good relationship with the British. Okay, why I'm saying is whatever British want, the ruler was ready to do. Why I'm saying is there was a rule. What is the rule? Yes, whenever an Indian territory and the Indian ruler was in favor of the British, means such a territory should not be annexed. When a Indian ruler should be killed and when his territory should be annexed, means whenever an Indian ruler went against the British, then only such a territory and such a ruler should be killed. So always keep this in mind. This is a rule of British annexation. British should not annex any territory in hasty. There should be some reason for waging war. But here, what is the purpose of waging war with the Amir? But Amir was doing all the help. But what the bloody British did it? You write it. But in 1843, the British suddenly annexed Sindh region. Suddenly annexed Sindh region without ground, valid ground. Without valid ground. So they suddenly annexed the Sindh region, which was condemned universally. This may be asked prelims question. Otherwise, simply you write it, which was universally condemned. Universally condemned. So universally means almost all people, major people condemned it when they annexed this part. What nonsense? Why did you annex Sindh? Was there any problem with the Sindh ruler? Whether Sindh ruler was giving problem to the British? No. Then why did the English East India Company annex Sindh? You are wrong. Even who criticized the English East India Company activities was British Parliament. Even heated debate went on on the floors of the British Parliament regarding this. It's a heated debate. Okay, this question may be asked because the only Indian territory, when it was annexed, it witnessed the condemnation. Apart from that, even for GS students, no need to study of this. This much of information is enough. Next, you come to this part. Topic, open it. Annexation of Punjab. Annexation of Punjab. Taken? Yes. You carefully look into that Punjab. Actually, Punjab means not only in the India side, including Pakistan side also. Punjab is that much. Yes. So here, annexation of Punjab region. Punjab region is this much big. Yes, listen. Actually, Punjab is the land of cultural diversity. Right? It's very hot spot of India. Cultural hotspot. Why I am saying is, Indus Valley civilization flourished here, Punjab only. Even Vedic Aryans also settled here. Early Vedic, if you see Rig Vedic, it is related to Sapta Sindhava region. Next, Alexander invaded. Next, Kushans invaded. Next, Arab invaded. Next, the Sindh, Ghaznavit, Gurid invaded. Next, the Mughal invaded. That's why I used to say. Why? What is the reason? Is right. Whoever invaded India, no, India was not invaded. Punjab was invaded. Because after crossing the Khyber Pass, all wanted to snatch Punjab and wanted to settle. That's why Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism, even cultural diversity can be seen in Punjab. different color of people, different, not culturally diversified people. Whether India was attacked, no, Punjab was attacked. And all outsider earlier wanted to capture and settle in Punjab. Because once crossed the Khyber Pass, immediate flood plain of that much of prosperity in Punjab, so started to settle. Yes, Hinduism, Islam was there. Around the 16th century, a new religion was born. Sikhism was also born by Guru Nanak. In medieval and Bhakti reform, that's a separate topic. Following the Guru Nanak and up to Guru Govind Singh, all to the 10 Sikh gurus were there. After the 10 Sikh gurus, the Sikh people started to rule that area, Punjab region. Right? Open the topic. Is in 1800. In 1800, Sikh people ruled the area. Sikh people ruled the area by various missiles. Various missiles. Nearly 14 missiles were there. Missiles mean grouping people. Missiles. Various missiles. Bangi missile, Aluwalia missile, Sukkar Chakya missile. Likewise, so many missiles. If you are from Punjab area or Haryana area, definitely you might have come across it. Aluwalia, Montek Singh Aluwalia. Actually, Aluwalia is a missile name. So missiles, they started to rule each area. In that, one important missile is Sukkar Chakya. Note it down. Sukkar Chakya. So missile means it's like a group, various group within the Sikhism. Right, in that one group is Sukkar Chakya. In that only 1800, very famous was Raja Ranjit Singh. The famous ruler was Raja Ranjit Singh. Actually, he only tried to unify the major part of Punjab. So, by 1800, the major part of Punjab was under the control of Raja Ranjit Singh. Taken? Raja Ranjit Singh was a strong ruler. You listen, Raja Ranjit Singh ruled exactly 39 years. You write it. 1800 to 1839. You put the timeline and write it. 1800s to 1839. Yes. As long as Raja Ranjit Singh was there, not at all a problem. There was not at all a problem as long as Raja Ranjit Singh was there. Right. Even British feared to attack Punjab. But what happened? Ranjit Singh died in 1839. Listen, next timeline. If you see that, Ranjit Singh died in 1839. But exactly within 10 years, 1849, British attacked and annexed the entire Punjab region. You put the timeline and write it. No need to by heart any year. Around 1800, Raja Ranjit Singh. After the death of Ranjit Singh, Anglo-Sikh War, Punjab area was annexed by 1849. Otherwise, 1840s. Years are reproducing the year, you should not fetch so much of mark. Major years are enough. Battle of Buxar, year you should know. Okay, in between gap, year, each battle useless. So 1839 to 49, what happened is British gradually annexed it. What means? You write it. First Anglo-Sikh War and second Anglo-Sikh War. Anglo-Sikh War. What are the years of first Anglo-Sikh War, second Anglo-Sikh War? No need. It took place between 1839 to 49. That's enough. First Anglo-Sikh War, second Anglo-Sikh War. Taken? Yes. Only one information. At the time of annexing Punjab, who was the Governor General? And at the time, who was the Indian ruler? That alone you need. That is the Punjab ruler, Sikh ruler. Yes. Who was the Governor General is Dalhousie. Governor General Dalhousie. And who was the last Sikh ruler is Maharaja Dalip Singh. Dalip. Maharaja Dalip Singh. He was the last Governor General. Yes. Why I'm saying is actually after capturing this Punjab and from the Dalhousie got Kohinoor diamonds and send it to Britain. Kohinoor diamond and send it to Britain. This is one of the lengthiest part of Kohinoor diamond. So it's like a GK I am going to discuss. Actually, after this, from the Punjab ruler only until the date, Kohinoor diamond remains in the hands of the British Crown. Even one Hrithik Roshan movie is there, Bang Bang. If you see Hindi movie, I think how many of them have watched that movie, I don't know. Bang Bang, there's a movie. In that movie, he tried to steal the this Kohinoor diamond and what all the twist and turn, that is a movie. In the beginning of the movie itself, the entire story, history of this Kohinoor diamond has mentioned before it's in the hands of the British Crown. If you see in the movie, in the first few minutes itself, what is the entire story, I will give a brief idea, just out of my own curiosity, because we have to discuss the annexation of this Myanmar. Right, before coming into that, just a brief listen. Because once you carefully mark this, otherwise screenshot or mark it, again it would not come. Yes. What was the story of Kohinoor diamond? Where was this excavated? Is here. Golconda, India's oldest diamond mine. Meaning is Golconda. Actually, here only this was taken. Right, Golconda. At the time, when is 13th century? Who ruled the Golconda area is Kakatiyas. Kakatiyas ruled the Golconda area. At the time of Kakatiyas only, so Kohinoor diamond. So origin of the Kohinoor diamond, Golconda, Kakatiya kingdom. Okay, keep it. Next, what happened is, at the time, who ruled north is Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin's one of the commander, Malik Kafur, attacked the Golconda region and he took the Kohinoor diamond to Delhi. In that way, from South India, the diamond at Delhi. Okay. Later, what happened? Khiljis, Tughlaqs, everything were gone. Later, Babur attacked, and Babur captured Delhi as well as he controlled the Kohinoor diamond. So, from Delhi Sultanate to Mughals. Okay, now in the hands of Mughals. But after the death of Aurangzeb, weak successor, at the time who attacked is Nadir Shah attacked. Nadir Shah attacked, he took Kohinoor diamond, that we discussed. After the battle of, which battle? Type it. After which battle he took away Kohinoor diamond? Karnal, exactly. After the battle of Karnal, he took back it. Okay, up to this, you know. Again, what happened is, from Nadir Shah, there was lengthy story. Again, it came back. By this time, it was under the control of Raja Ranjit Singh. So again, it came back. That's a station story. We don't want such an international story. Again, it came back to Raja Ranjit Singh. Right? At last, what happened is, after the death of Raja Ranjit Singh, weak successor, at the time of annexing is Dalip Singh. So from Dalip Singh, Dalhousie got it and sent it to Britain. This is the lengthiest history about Kohinoor diamond at present in the hands of the British. So Kakatiyas, to Khiljis, then Tughlaq Sayyid, then to Mughals, next to Shah of Persia, again that missiles, that is that Raja Ranjit Singh, and then to British. So this much of lengthy story you should know. This is just GK. sometimes if any question, UPSC, I don't know how far would be asked, but as a student of history, you should know after history of this going with diamonds. Yes, that's all. And last topic is Anglo-Burmese War. It's 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes, I will complete it. Though it's not in our chapter, you should know the basic aspects of Anglo-Burmese War. Always draw map of India, ancient, medieval, modern, everything is map of India. In that, with that itself, you could easily come. Because whenever I supposed to say this and this, automatically map would come out, okay, during this period like this, like this. Okay, 3 Burmese War, okay. Later, so Anglo-Burmese War, you split into 3, likewise. One, two, three. 3 Burmese War. Okay, what's the common point is, in all the Burmese War, Burmese ruler was defeated. In all, Burmese ruler was defeated and gradually area was annexed. That is, the Burmese area was annexed. Gradually, their area was annexed. So with this, I am going to say 3 Burmese War, how area was annexed. First Burmese War, 1822 to 24. First Burmese War, 24 to 26. 24 to 26. Here also Burmese ruler was defeated and a treaty was signed. By heart this treaty. What is the treaty is at a place called Yandabu. So please by heart it. This treaty is very, very important for bilateral, to discuss about India-Myanmar relationship, to discuss about internal security. This treaty is much helpful. Treaty of Yandabu between British and this. How Treaty of Sagoli, we already discussed. Treaty of Sagoli between which two parties? Write it. Saguli or Sagoli, between which two parties? Nepal, yes, India and Nepal, especially constitution. Nepal wanted to decided to redraw the boundaries. Sagoli we discussed. How Sagoli is very important. In the same way here, right? This India-Myanmar Treaty of Yandabu. Okay, through that, which territory India got it? British India got it means, listen, this part. Major this part India got it. Northeast, especially Nagaland, Manipur. This will be really helpful. Please go through while discussing about this India-Myanmar issues, Naga issues. It will be helpful. So first war, because of first war, British got this. Okay. Second, you come to the second war, 1854, 56. 56. Again, the Myanmar ruler was defeated. There is no separate treaty was there, but not important. Then what part was annexed from the British? From the Myanmar is the southern. You write that alone. The southern Myanmar was annexed. This part. This is second. Southern part of Myanmar. Simultaneously, you have to draw. That's why I am putting different color. And next you come to the last third war, 1885-86. 1885-86. What was annexed it? The remaining part, the northern part of Myanmar. This part was annexed. This part was annexed. Taken? It means that entire Myanmar was annexed. Under this you write entire Myanmar was annexed and became part of India. This is very interesting. Even earlier Myanmar was also part of India. One could easily movement of the people. People could easily move from either side. So 1886, at the end of the Third War, Myanmar was annexed and remained part and parcel. Okay, if it is so, in which year Myanmar was again separated? For example, Pakistan was separated in 1947, right? But Myanmar was not separated in 1947. It means that Myanmar was separated much before. In which year again Myanmar was separated and separate administration is the next point you write. In 1935. In 1935, Government of India Act. India Act. Myanmar was separated from India. No freedom. Keep it in mind. So freedom was not given. 35, Myanmar administration, Indian administration, both run by the British were different. This question may be asked. As per which act Burma was separated? Because as per which act India was partition means because of this. Actually, this is also like a partition. But before 1947, this happened. Same thing happened. How some Islamic people wanted separate country, in the same way Myanmar people also wanted separate country. No, we don't want Indian culture. But that since that happened before 1947, that issue is not at all. But in the case of Pakistan, in this 1947 communal violence, that's considered as partition and communal violence. The same thing happened in 1935 also. Many movements, many Indians were expelled from Myanmar is because violence happened in Myanmar also. We want separate administration. We don't want under the control of Indians. Otherwise, Indian culture would influence into the Myanmar. Right? So this is what here happened. 1935 Act. Okay. Last up, then which year Myanmar got independence? Simple. That don't write. India got independence in 1947. In the next year itself, 1948, Myanmar got independence. That alone, you keep it here. Don't write it here. So 1935 separated. 1948 it got independence. Understood? That's all. With this, we successfully completed two major units. One is annexation of British. Actually, lengthiest part. If you take spectrum, even in NCERT book itself, 25 to 30 page. And spectrum 80 plus page. And another is British administration, another 80 plus page. Out of 600 page, in two class itself 100 page and 100 and nearly 150 pages are over. Yes. So a holistic idea by this time you should have got it. Understood? With this only I am opening the next unit. Open the next unit. That is a positive reaction, negative reaction. Am I right? First, we are going to discuss of the positive reaction. Then we will discuss about the negative reaction. Positive reaction in the name of socio-religious reform movement. Don't accept the unit. Don't write other than the unit. So, unit is reaction, positive, negative. In that positive reaction in the name of this. That we will discuss on tomorrow. So today you have been given great work of completing it. Okay. Take Modern India daily major class. Modern India is going on. Thoroughly study of this. After definitely by August onwards, I think so. Tamil Nadu relaxation maybe their complete relaxation would come. Offline classes, when it's there, you have to feel free. This month, never waste time. 20 days gap is there. Right? Thank you. Now question session. Praveen, Aravind.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, can you tell me about that Governor General who doesn't have the power of Bengal? I didn't hear that because of some network interference.
Actually, Governor of Bengal as Governor General of India since 1773 was one and the same. In 1853 Act, Governor of Bengal and Governor General of Bengal post was separated. And who was the first Governor General without additional burden of Governor of Bengal was Dalhousie. That's answer.
Bellows. Okay, sir. I have one more question. Sir, what was the why Peshwa's fear Holkars?
What?
You say that because of that Peshwa's fear Holkars, they reached the British for help, and
Okay.
they signed a treaty of. So I didn't get what was the issue between them,
Between to whom?
between Peshwas and Holkars.
Actually, four Peshwa, first mutual jealousness among the four Peshwa. Four Sardars. Another is here Peshwa. All the four Sardar started to give torture. One Sardar would say, Peshwa, you have to do everything in my side. Another Sardar would say, no, you should do everything in favor. That's why one side is mutual problem among the Sardar, other side Peshwa versus Sardar. But so many problems are there, with that don't want.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anand?
Hello, sir. Sir, is it audible, sir?
Yes.
Sir, actually, in final Anglo-Mysore War, it is mentioned in Spectrum that Mysore actually got off of the place of Mysore, sir. Actually, in those in treaties, sir. Is this these places are given to Marathas, sir?
No, that is given in the third war, not fourth war. At the end of the third war, half of the territory was taken. Almost half of the
Yes, sir.
entire territory was taken by the British. Marathas was not given
Okay,
major.
sir.
Travancore state was not at all given major territory. Almost 90% of the territory was taken by the British. They annexed it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. They annexed, sir. But in Spectrum, there is a mention that for British was helped by Nizam and Marathas for defeating Mysore. So that for that British give half of the territory get from those Mysore to those Marathas, sir.
Then it's okay. They whatever they got territory, from the territory, what I said it, from Tippu, British got half of the territory, total territory.
Okay.
In that half,
Okay, sir.
half of the territory was given. In that half of the territory.
Oh, okay, okay, sir. And actually, that Sindh is located in Pakistan, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Jay.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Jay.
Sir, my doubt is regarding the last class, sir, about the judicial system in Bengal region, sir. The reforms made under Warren Hastings and under William Bentinck, sir. I can't understand about the positions like district Fauzdari, Adalats, Qazis, Muftis, Sadar Diwani Adalat, Sadar Nizamat Adalat.
Yeah. Keep these kinds of words as such because these are medieval terms, pure medieval terms. Fajdar, Adalat, these things are there. Only one we discussed, Diwan we discussed. Another thing we discussed, Nizam. That alone here, if I want, I would like to explain. What is the work of Diwan?
Revenue, sir.
Revenue. And what administration? What?
Sorry, sir. Under Mughals. Under Mughals.
No, Mughals. Diwan means revenue and what? Justice. Civil justice.
Oh, yes, sir.
Civil justice. What was the work of Nizam?
Is a military, sir.
Military and what justice? Criminal justice.
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice. Diwan,
Okay.
revenue as well as civil justice. So keep it in mind. Diwan means civil justice. Diwani Adalat. Adalat means court. Lok Adalat. Have you come across?
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Adalat means court. Right. Keep it in mind. Diwan. Diwan means civil. So Lok Adalat means civil court. Nizam. Nizam means criminal
Okay.
justice. Nizamat Adalat means criminal court. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Meaning Faujidar, that thing since medieval. Once you study medieval, then you will easily have an idea of this. Since in the modern India, first 1 or 2 units, more medieval terms are given. Even if you don't know, but if you have come across, keep it as such. Once medieval is over, these terms are damn easy.
Sir, and about that qazis and muftis, sir.
All are such terms. Qasis, muftis, all are actually the judicial system would come, but slight difference are there.
Okay, sir. Sir, are the judges, sir? Qazis and muftis.
Judicial. In judicial, it's like a judge.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
These are terms why I have not deliberately explained it. Again, I have to go back and I have to again have to touch the medieval part. So better to discuss in that. Srivatsan.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you, sir? My doubt is, sir, you said that the Peshwas got the contract of subsidiary alliance. So could the subsidiary alliance, because a British cantonment will be there, so could that be the reason for the fall of Peshwas, sir?
Yes,
because
yes.
even though they united, they could not fight because the soldiers knew the terrain very well. They got accustomed. Could that be seen as the reason, sir?
Yes, exactly. That kind of thing you should write in mains. These kinds are good interpretation. Correct interpretation.
Okay, sir. And one more doubt is, sir, you said that the land yielding territory of in subsidiary alliance, the land yielding territory, that means revenue yielding territory would be given to the British. So what would happen to the revenue, sir? Or what would happen to the revenue of the ruler who is getting contract under subsidiary alliance? This revenue be drastically reduced or somewhat reduced, sir?
Actually, what kind of revenue yielding territory means fertile land. Always after signing subsidiary alliance, British always insisted to give. They wanted land of fertile land. It drastically reduced the revenue because fertile land was given to British means what would happen?
Sir, I'm asking how much amount of land, sir? Whether there is a limit on whether this much amount of land should be given, or depending upon the soldiers being stationed there, that much amount of land would be given, sir.
It's based on the proportionate of land soldiers provided.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Deepika. Deepika. Archana.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Archana.
Sir, in 1784 Pitt's Act, you said that a dual form of government was established, which extended till 1858. But now you say that 1833, the commercial privilege of company was taken away. So, what is it, sir? Till 1833 or till 1858?
Until 1858.
But the company has lost its commercial privilege, sir, in 1833.
It's lost it, but I will check it exactly. But accordingly, I will say it's 1858. There's no doubt at all. Though it lost the commercial activities, I'll check it. In what way explanation? That alone I have to give it. Valid explanation I will give it. But not 1833, it's 1858. There's no doubt at all.
Okay, sir. And also you said that the board of control, the political affairs of the board of control included appointments and maintenance of civil servants and armies. But in NCRTs, it was given like only guide and control of court of directors, and appointments were still with court of directors.
That's
So
why I
on
said
also in the
first class itself, I
so
said
it's not about
BOC would have the supervisory authority. That's why I said. Actually, court of director had all the powers to appointment, but they have to superseded by whom is BOC. BOC if said you have to appoint this, you have to appoint that, means even then COD should do it. It's more or like political wise puppet. BOC can't appoint till 1858. BOC is a supervisory authority.
Okay, sir. And also, sir, you said that 1853 Act, through that parliamentary system was was introduced. How is it, sir? Actually, the executive, is it responsible to the legislative, or some sort of elections were conducted? Why is it called parliamentary system?
Yes. What is the reason? Mean what is the purpose of parliament? Is only law making. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Parliament is law making. In that.
But already they were doing that, sir.
That's why I'm saying.
From 1773, they were doing the same thing, right, yes, sir? Law making.
5-member. Law implementation was also 5-member. There is no separate. But 1853 onwards, exclusively for lawmaking, some people were in.
Okay.
Even today, an MP is there. MP's duty is lawmaking. But what is the minister's duty? Not only in lawmaking, he would also participate in cabinet meeting. So here also first I mentioned 5 law making. Here also I mentioned 5 for law implementation. Both made law, both implemented. But later 4 members were included for law making alone. Once the law is made, that's all. Their duty is over. It means that it's like a parliamentary institution. Even today also, Modi ji is the executive, but he is also participating in parliament. He is not only MP, he is also a minister. But one MP is there, you just imagine. For example, Kanimuli is there from Thoothukudi constituency, means they are doing only the law making. They are not participating in cabinet.
Okay, sir. I understand. And one more thing, sir, regarding the Governor General from Dalhousie period. Where were they located, sir? In Bengal, or did they shift the capital?
Till 1911, all the Governor Generals and Viceroy and the capital of British was Calcutta. Only in 1911 they changed, made the capital New Delhi. After much construction of the New Delhi Lieutenants, they shifted it from 1920s. Till that, all Governor General and Viceroys lived in Fort Williams, Calcutta. That was the capital of British.
Okay, sir. And also regarding Bombay province, you said that it was formed after the third Maratha war. When was Madras province created, sir? Was it after the fourth Mysore war?
Yes, exactly. When fourth Mysore was over, Jung portion was taken. Already Carnatic war, they took some territory. After 4 Mysore war, they got Jung territory and formed the Madras province.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Thank you. Vimal?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Sir, my doubt is in the Regulation Act of 1773, 4 members were appointed in the Executive Council, sir. But in the following act, pitch in the act, only 3 members were fixed. Why they decreased the member and later they increased number, sir?
Actually, it's based on the requirement of Governor General. If Governor General wanted more, they would increase. If Governor General didn't want, they would reduce. That's all. Beyond that, nothing. There's no any specific reason beyond that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.